Welcome, everyone, to the Predictive Playbook for Week 9 college football action. We're glad that you took the time to come listen to our great show. We are coming off a bruising week on this show. We went 3-10. That includes the prop bets as well. But you know what? It's like the PGA Tour, and I always use the analogy, guys. You're not going to go every single week, no matter who you are. You could be the greatest pro in the history of mankind. You will not go undefeated on a weekly basis. And if you get away with maybe 3 losing weekends, that's just incredibly good. So we're certainly not going to stand here and make excuses. We're going to be accountable. We went 3-10. It happens. Pro golfers take a triple bogey somewhere in their round during a major championship, or at least a double bogey. And the analogy to the NFL, there's 18 weeks. There's 18 holes in golf. One of those weeks is going to be like a double bogey in golf. So I want to make that point clear. We're still proud of our record at 34-20 now. That's still 63% winners on this show. And best of all, they're all free. So we certainly will look to start doing better. And doing better starts with Jesse Schule and Dr. Chuck. We're going to start with Jesse Schule's breakdown of the marquee game this weekend, at least one of them. And they seem to be all in the Big Ten because we have just about every team of the top 10 in the polls being a representative of the Big Ten. And by the season's end, we'll be lucky to have 2. So the big matchup, Michigan, number 6, on the road, 7-0, against number 8, Michigan State. One of the biggest rivalries in college football, other than Michigan and Ohio State. Michigan State is a surprising 7-0. They're both 4-0 in the Big Ten. They're both in the same Eastern Division. Michigan comes into this fray as a 4.5-point road favorite with a total of 50.5. Jesse, take it away from here and tell us what the bet is on this game.
Well, John, I bet against Michigan last week, and we all know how that worked out. Things looked good in the first half there with Northwestern trailing 10-7, but they missed a chip shot field goal early in the second half, and things fell apart after that. But I'm going to stick with my guns here and say that Michigan's still overvalued, in my opinion. They're playing a Michigan State team that really seems to match up against them. There's so many similarities between these two teams. They're neck and neck in the rankings. They both beat Rutgers, Nebraska, and Northwestern. Some would say that Michigan has the advantage in strength of schedule based on their win over Wisconsin, but I was pretty impressed with Michigan State's win over Miami. Traditionally, Michigan has been overrated against the spread in this series. They've failed to cover in 11 of the last 13 head-to-head meetings, and they're 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 at East Lansing. And the big difference that I see between these two teams is at the quarterback position, with Cade McNamara throwing for 1,115 yards, 5 touchdowns and 1 interception, while the Spartans have Peyton Thorne, who's thrown for 1,700 yards, 15 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Michigan State's passing game is by far superior to Michigan's. And they have Kenny Walker, the second in the nation in rushing yards with 997 yards. He's probably the best player in this game today. And you got Michigan State getting points coming off of a bye week. I'm going to take the points here in this big game.
I love the breakdown. I can't wait to watch that game, Jesse. But before we move on, I want you to tell us what's going on over at SportsMemo.com and what you have in store for the week.
Well, Saturday is going to be another big day. 10 plays on Saturday. I started off last Saturday with a big winner with the Liverpool-Manchester United game. 5-0 for Liverpool. I was on Liverpool plus money. So you want to start your day off with an early soccer winner, come and see me on Saturdays.
And take my word for it, guys and gals, he's very good at soccer, among other sports as well. So take advantage of that. Let's move on to the ACC with Dr. Chuck here. This is another intriguing game. We have 3 and 4 Duke Blue Devils traveling to Wake Forest, who is another surprising team that is undefeated, ranking 13th in the nation, 7-0 record. Wake Forest is a whopping 16.5-point favorite. Who would have thought that in the beginning of the season? Over-under is 70. This is happening at Truist Field in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Chuck, take it away and tell us the best bet to make.
Well, it looks like we've got a jam-packed 7-0 show here, bringing people what they want. We got the highly ranked teams up and down all over this show. Wake Forest is off that crazy game in Army where they put up 70 points. They had 10 possessions, who were touchdowns on 9 of them. Went for it on 4th and 1 in Army's territory and didn't get it, and returned a pick 6. So the efficiency is nuts. Hartman put up a 98.0 QBR, which is not like passer rating. That's on a scale of 0 to 100, where 75 is good. And that was against an Army defense that is way better than Duke's defense. Duke at home is a decent team. Duke on the road is just bad. They even lost to the Charlotte 49ers this season. The last 2 ACC games they've played this year on the road, they've been outscored 86-7, and that was against Virginia and North Carolina, which isn't even as highly ranked as a Wake Forest offense. This is like very, very efficient offense, and they're better on defense than they showed against Army's option, and Duke just doesn't have that going for them. This is not your older brother's Duke football team, but they're just not. Daniel Jones made this team, and Cutcliffe has used different quarterbacks to make Duke not the Duke of football of the past, but they're still just, a 3-4 team that actually is worse than an average team. An average team with the schedule they've played so far should only have 3 losses, whereas an elite team that has played Wake Forest schedule should actually have a loss, and they're 7-0. They got to take this seriously, as it's looking real. I don't put a lot of stock in the polls, so it doesn't really matter to me that they're ranked this highly. But the ACC is theirs to take. After this, they'll have North Carolina, and they finish off with Clemson, and it's at Clemson. But that's just not going to be that big of a deal. And so they're going to take care of business here. I don't know if they do it as well as Virginia did with the 48-0, but this is just not going to be close from start to finish, and I don't think there's any letdown in this offense this week.
That's a good breakdown again, Dr. Chuck. Tell us what you got going on at sportsmemo.com this week.
Well, right now, we got picks all week. Excited to have the World Series starting tonight, and there's a deal going right now where you can get every single play for the rest of 2021, all in one package. That's every sport, and also we focus a lot on NFL and NBA props. Sometimes we throw in some NHL and college football props, but they are extremely hot. We had a scorching weekend with the props and went 12-4 in NFL and NBA on the props. They're not as highly ranked and rated as they used to be, but you know how to play them if you get them from me. And so there's always going to be those every day.
Sounds great, Chuck. Make sure you get over to Sports Memo and get both these guys. Subscriptions, whatever is there is discounted, and you can benefit greatly from it over time. One given week is not a good test drive. If you want to test drive a service, you got to do it for at least 30 days, preferably 90 or the rest of the season, which also has big discounts available now. Let's move back to Jesse Schule here. We're going to go to a game that is in the Pac-12 with Washington. Traveling to Stanford, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard start. Washington 3-4, 2-2, even record in the Pac-12 conference. Stanford 2-3 in the conference, 3-4 overall. Stanford is a 2-point home favorite here in Palo Alto. Over under 48. Take it away, Jesse, and tell us who to bet on this one.
Well, John, I like Stanford here, and I might even consider taking them on the money line if you could get a good enough price, given that it's only a 2-point spread. But yeah, I spoke about the mismatch at the quarterback position in the Michigan State game, and we've got an even bigger mismatch here with Dylan Morris struggling for Washington. He's thrown for 1,663 yards, but 10 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. And Tanner McKee for Stanford has had quite a season, actually. 1,722 yards, 14 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Traditionally, Stanford has dominated this series, especially at home. Stanford's won 5 straight up at home against Washington. They're 4-1 against the spread in those games. Washington's coming off a clunker versus Arizona. They just barely beat the struggling Arizona Wildcats. This Washington offense just can't seem to do anything right, and I don't see where they're going to get enough points to hang in there with Stanford. ATS, Washington is 1-10 against the spread in their last 11 as an underdog. They are 7-19 against the spread in their last 26 Pac-12 games. Finally, I really like Stanford to get the W at home here.
That's awesome, Jesse. I feel good about the bets we're making so far, and I hope everybody likes this one. I know it's probably going to be on the public flavor list, I'm afraid, but maybe not. But I am going to be talking about the Georgia Bulldogs, and I've done extensive research on them. I've got the models running. They are one of the best teams right now the last 20 years. And there's Georgia, and then there's the rest of the college football landscape. It is so big a gap, I can't even begin to tell you. In fact, Alabama has never had this big a gap against any team since Nick Saban has been there. And there's no signs of regression, overachievement due to a clunker. And they're going up against a rival here in Florida. This game's 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I wish it would be switched to 8 o'clock on ABC. Probably won't because it's CBS and the SEC. But it takes place at TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, Florida. This is a neutral site. This used to be called the world's largest cocktail party, and then they had to change it because of the world we live in. However, I reference that because this started in 1926 and has gone every single year with the exception of 1 year during World War II. And this is a big-time rivalry. Florida comes into this as a 14-point underdog. I think that number is going to start going up, and you're going to see some steam on Georgia. I don't care if it goes to 17.5, to be honest with you. Georgia, 7-0, 5-0. And here's a few notes on this game that is just remarkable. Talk about being dominant. They've outscored their 7 opponents, including 4 who were ranked, 269 to 46. I'll say that again, 269 to 46. Culminating with their 30 to 13 win over number 11 Kentucky back on October 16th. And it's the Georgia defense that really is impressive, and it's probably one of the stories on the national landscape right now. Ranked number 1 in just about every single category you can imagine. 6.6 points per game, for goodness sake. And that, again, includes 4 ranked opponents. They rank one of the highest yards per point metric I've ever seen. It's over 30. That means an opposition has to gain 30 yards to put up 1 point on the scoreboard. A good defense is somewhere north of 18, 19. And the higher the number, the better the defense becomes on that metric. But that's not all. They're also very good on offense. And they have Stetson Bennett, who came in for JT Daniels, has been just playing incredibly well. He's 57 out of 82 passing for almost 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. He's also run the ball for 148 yards on 19 carries. Lastly, betting on favorites of 10.5 to 21 points after allowing 7 or fewer points in the first half of their last 2 games, and now facing a conference foe that is coming off a game where 70 or more total points were scored, has earned an outstanding 77-39 record for the last 10 seasons for 67.5% winning bets. I am all over the Georgia Bulldogs this week, and I think they win by a ton. I'll go out on a limb, and I'll say they'll win by a ton. So, Jesse, Chuck, I appreciate your time, appreciate your expertise, your picks most of all. And for all the guys and gals in the chat room and also the viewers that we've gotten, we're very appreciative of that. And we look for a big week this week. And don't forget to watch our NFL show, which will be airing tomorrow afternoon, will be the published time frame, Eastern Standard Time. So be sure to look for that. On behalf of Jesse, Dr. Chuck, myself, SportsMemo TV, Predictive Playbook TV, may all the wins be yours. Thanks for watching.